Welcome back, everyone. This is the
Oh,
next episode. I don't know
let
what
me
number.
guess. Does it know the episode? Me neither. Let me double check actually. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 16.
16.
Dang,
Jeez.
four away from 20, bro. We're close. We're almost
I
there.
know. So close. What have you been watching? Because I would try to think before
Mm,
we started recording. I'm like, what have I been watching recently? I
bro,
forgot.
I have been grinding this new show, bro. Superstore. I've
Oh,
I'm on
really?
I'm on like season 3 already, bro. I started on like Wednesday. So I've been just grinding this show in the background when I'm just chilling. I even threw it on when Kaylin came over and we started watching it. She even got invested. So it's such a funny show. It's just like, your typical is that classified as sitcom kind of office vibes?
I think so, yeah.
Right? So it's just like another sitcom, but they're like in a superstore. I like to think of it as like a Walmart because it's like they're wearing blue and they have the blue and yellow name
Oh,
tag. And I don't know, it's just so funny. They have like a bunch of like such random characters that all like come together and like work together, which is kind of work. Like sometimes you'll be working with some weird guy or like this super
yeah.
preppy person and like you have to work with them because you guys work together. I know you would probably hate slash like the corporate side of it because they always talk about corporate did this, corporate did that. You'd be like, oh, I fucking hate corporate. I These people just money hungry and all that, and it's just you see the behind the scenes of what would go. So definitely funny, uh, and new. I really like the newer, um, like TV shows where it just looks HD. I don't know why that's so satisfying to me. Like they have like
Really? You prefer that over like cuz there's some TV shows, right? Like have you ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
no, but I've heard of it. Danny DeVito.
Yeah, so when that show started off, it was like super low budget, but it was about some characters that are like just degenerates and like the worst of the worst. And so when their show looked like it was recorded on VHS, but it completely fit the vibe. Like it matched the characters and the setting and their lifestyle. So like it enhanced the material. And eventually the network moved over to like super HD cameras, and even the cast knew we're like we think the show benefits from the old style of filming where it looks more like it was filmed on a VHS, like it fits the vibe more. But I guess they like didn't have much control over that, and they ended up switching to like complete HD cameras and everything. And it looks way different and it has a different vibe to it, but
Yeah.
it is the same exact show. So like, if you were watching that show, what would you
Y-
go for? Would you still want the HD, or would you say like, well, I think the show benefits more if the look matches the content?
Maybe in that sense, like that show's
Uh huh.
particular, like it would make sense maybe to keep it, but like, you think of like Full House, that's such an older show and it fits
Yeah.
the aesthetic, like the film it has. So imagine if they did Full House like in 2025, which they did, Fuller House, but it just gave a
Yeah.
different vibe. And I guess in that sense, it was in the future, so it made sense to be HD. But like for me, my
Yeah.
experience with that exact scenario, how you were saying, they started off, maybe 720p or whatever.
Yeah.
Modern Family does that exact same thing. Modern Family starts off, you know, like I
A
don't
little
know,
bit lower
yeah,
quality.
lower quality, not HD, not crisp. And then by the final two seasons, it's like 4K and all the characters are
Yeah.
so HD. But it also kind of fits that vibe too because they start off as kids and then you see them all grow up. So when they're all grown up, it's like 4K. But if it's supposed to
Yeah.
be set in like that one time period where it's like time doesn't really move, then maybe it would mess it up. But I don't know. I like the HDness. I think it looks really clean and just satisfying to like watch because everything's nice in HD. And I like
Yeah. Like it's
HD.
clear.
What would you prefer though? Would you just rather them just keep it at the VHS style that they had?
I think it 100% depends on the show, because not just It's Always Sunny, but I love the TV show Trailer Park Boys.
Oh
And
yeah.
that show is set in a trailer park, and they're also degenerates who, at the end of every season, they end up going to prison because of their antics or whatever. And it started off like filmed VHS, and when I see the newer stuff, it's in like fucking 4K, Ultra HD. You know, I love my 4K. I love it.
Yeah.
But when I see that show in 4K, I'm just like, why are we showing these trailer park kids like in Ultra HD, and it just doesn't fit the vibe. So I think some shows definitely need to stick to their, like, it's okay if some things don't look good because it fits the content of the show and it helps with your immersion. But uh even like you just said, that new 90s show, like that 90s show, I think that's what it's called, right?
That 70 show?
Yeah, but they did like the newer one that was
Oh,
that
full
90s.
Full House and full. Oh.
Oh, Full House.
Oh
Yeah, you're
yeah.
talking about Full House. I'm like, if they did it that 90s show, I think they did do that one with like their kids and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
should move it to, like, it's set in the 90s. So have it look
Mhm.
like it's made on film, or maybe just a little bit grainier. I'm not saying make it look shitty, but it is a shock when you see some shows that look good, cuz that 70s show was filmed in the 2000s. Like, it wasn't all in the 90s,
Yeah.
and it still looked like it was on film, and it had a really good look to it, but it was still clear. You know, like, you could add some grain and still have a clear look to it. But I don't know, it just
But
depends.
you know what I think about?
What?
Like those movies that are supposed to be set in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like in those cases, would you want that? Because I'm like, well, I don't know if I'd want to see a movie that's in the 1800s where it's like it's supposed to be grainy and dark, and we need the dark
Ooh,
footage, you know? Because then,
that gets more deeper into it, because I think movies in general always look better when they're on film versus uh like digital.
okay, but even a show like Bridgerton, which is like, right? That's a 1800 show. I don't really know too much about it, but
Yeah.
I know it's and shot in the modern age, so I bet it's in 4K. So I'm just wondering if it takes away, because if someone's watching that, I bet they're like, it's just shot nice. They probably don't think too deep into it. But when it's
Yeah.
originally shot bad or lower quality and then goes up, that's when people probably get.
Yeah, you can shoot on film and still have it be 4K though, but I think it's probably way
Yeah.
more expensive and a lot riskier, because you know when they, like, there's this one discussion I saw where they said, why do films in the 80s, like even just a low budget comedy, almost all the older films look like every shot was perfected with the lighting and the cinematography and the composition, like the way things are placed in the shot. Why did it look like they cared more back then than they do now? And one of the reasons is because when you're shooting on film, you only have a limited amount of like film stock. So there's no, oh, we'll just fix it in post, or like let's just film as much as we want. You have a limited amount. So
Yeah.
the one time you do it, you have to get it right and make it good. Like there's no like there's not room for mistakes. And I think movies back then benefited from that, because then you saw way more attention to detail, and I think there was less films that looked like shit because they were like, oh, we could just fix this later, or we could just shoot it on the day and figure that out. But
Yeah.
they had to actually plan everything. That's also a whole other discussion too.
Because now there's reshoots, all this fix and post, like you said. But imagine back in the day, bro, having to shoot your whole movie in film. How many film reels they must have of just like, okay, I need the scene where they do this. Go find it in the thousands of film reels that we have.
Yeah.
And they're just like scattering and looking, and they're like, okay, I think I found it. No, not this one. That was take two. We need take one. And then they have to go back. Like, that must have been a freaking headache for whoever
I
had
feel
to make
like
that.
that would be a necessary evil, because it would weed out all the people who don't actually give a fuck about like film. Like the people who don't actually give a fuck would be like,
Mm,
I'm not going to take the time to do it because I don't care that much. I'm more
mm-hmm.
like, because I feel like there's a lot of people now who are just more content creators. Like they just want to get views, followers, do whatever it takes to get that. And it's easy. Like it's
Yeah.
super easy. That's why we're like overflowing with content right now. But back then, since it was more harder, the only people making movies or TV shows and stuff like that were the people who cared enough to do all that work, and it was easier
Yeah.
to weed out the people who would just do it for fame or money, I guess.
Yeah, that I was listening to this like conversation on a podcast, and they were talking about like art versus entertainment,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like that's kind of what it is. Like back in the day, it was all art trying to
Yeah.
convey a message or feeling, but now it's just all right. Let's have people, let's entertain them, make them have a fun time, good time.
Yeah, everyone's bouncing off
Which
trends like
yeah, which I don't know. I I don't know which side I agree with because I like to be entertained. Like I
yeah,
like
because there is still great content. So it's like, would you sacrifice all the content you do like just because there's some you don't like?
exactly.
I'd probably choose like, yeah, wipe off social media, get rid of digital cameras. Everyone has to go back to film stock. I would do
That's
that.
what you would choose?
Yeah, I would
Oh
choose
my
that. I'd be like,
goodness.
you know what? Screw it.
This dude.
A necessary
Oh my god.
loss.
You'll lose so many good stuff, bro. You'll
But
probably
then,
lose what?
but you'd only be left with the best.
Wouldn't you lose Star Wars if you can only do that, or do you still get Star Wars?
Well, the original Star Wars is filmed on film, so you'd be good with that.
How did they get those lightsabers in film?
Bro, you gotta watch the behind the scenes because those movies that they made on the process of making the practical effects for Star Wars is like they were using science and like
Science.
yeah, legit science. Like, oh, the way this reflects off of this digital camera, you have to use a certain. Like, they had so much thought into it. It wasn't just like you just slap some digital effects. They had to like use miniatures, and there was like all these artists who would do the oil paintings, like for the when Darth Vader arrives on the Death Star and you see this whole big room, like that room's not real. What they did was they filmed like the bottom, and then they were able to, and then they had a realistic oil painter paint the background. And so a ton of the backgrounds you see in Star Wars are just oil paintings that were painted to be hyper realistic, and you think it's real, and they were able to
What?
put it in the background. I think you would find that stuff interesting because Star Wars was so innovative at the time and had so much influence on film today with like the things they had to do to portray space in 1977 and the 80s.
Props to freaking George Lucas then, because that dude had to write it, and then he had to try to get it picked up by a studio or something like
Yeah.
that. I know that story where it wasn't getting picked up, and then Mans got his opportunity and freaking took it because he directed his own movies, he wrote his own movies, and he had to freaking invent new science to
Well,
make
he
his own
didn't do any
movies.
of
Like,
those inventions. He had the props department do that.
oh, he was just like, take care of this.
Yeah, basically. He was like, I have this.
Okay.
He had
Okay.
the idea, and he was like, how do I execute this idea? So without him kind of like,
Mm,
bringing the people together, he was still like the centerpiece. But there were very famous prop people who like did the costumes and everything like that, uh, and the designs, and there's a super famous concept artist who basically designed the look of Star Wars because his paintings are what Star Wars was based off of. Because George Lucas went to him and was like, "Hey, I have an idea for this," and his concept art is like gorgeous and iconic, and it's what the design or the entire look of Star Wars is basically based off of his creativity. And so there's like some famous individuals within the creative team of Star Wars that are pretty popular.
dude, just you have to have all the right pieces for Star Wars to come together because
Yeah.
you need the idea, the artist, you need the set, like, and it all perfectly came together. That's just
Yep.
like, what are the odds for him?
Yeah, like those famous painters and everyone or the concept artists wouldn't be famous if they didn't have the idea of Star Wars to flesh out their art. And then George Lucas wouldn't be able to flesh out his art if he didn't have those geniuses behind him doing all these practical effects and fleshing out his story. Lightning in a bottle,
So,
that's what they call that. Lightning in a bottle.
fact. Wait, why do they call it lightning in a bottle though?
Because it's like,
You captured something crazy?
yeah, it's like something that
Mm.
is impossible to capture. It's like a once in a lifetime thing. Like lightning struck here and I caught it. Like What are the
Hmm.
chances?
So, have you been watching anything? You said you haven't been watching anything, so nothing new?
I have been watching The White Lotus. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen the whole first season.
Really? You have?
Yeah. Dude, we went on vacation one day to Florida, and my sister was like, it had just came out
Uh-huh.
with that Jennifer girl, right? Is that,
Jennifer Coolidge?
yeah, is that her?
Yeah. She's from
Oh,
Pretty in Pink.
from the
Not no,
Minecraft
no,
movie.
not Pretty in Pink. She's from Legally Blonde.
She's from that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck?
She plays the
I don't.
hairdresser who always is like, and she's in love with the UPS man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's how they portray her in the freaking Minecraft movie.
Really?
She's in love with the villager. Anyways,
She was.
are you
She's
done
one
with
of the
the?
most
Are you?
unbearable characters in the show, in my opinion.
I forgot what the theme of that show was. Like something's weird with that house, right?
No, it's a all inclusive resort, and you just see a solid 6 episodes where everyone goes through like a character arc. Like pretty much everyone is fucked up in their own little way and has their own little problems, and some of them become better people on the trip, and some of them fall off a cliff and like crash out basically. Like some of them are just so fucked up and they get even more fucked up, but it's very entertaining. Like my favorite character is the son because he has a phone
Yeah.
and he's constantly on his phone just playing games and he doesn't want to do anything. He's in Hawaii and he doesn't want to do shit. But then one day he's forced to sleep on the beach and his phone and everything gets washed up and he starts freaking out. He's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do here without my phone?" And then he's like, "Dad, can I please borrow your phone, please?" Just anyone. He's like basically losing his mind. But through that, he starts to see the beauty of Hawaii. And there's this one scene that I loved because he asked, he sees these Hawaiians that are in that long boat. Do you know what that long boat is called where they all have paddle boards and not paddle boards, like, are they called oars or rows?
Just like a canoe kind of, but it's longer.
Yeah, and you're all paddling together,
Uh
like they're
huh.
practicing because they're gonna like do this journey. And he sees them, and he's like, "Can I come with you guys?" And in my mind, I was like, "Bro, really? Like you're gonna be a dead weight? Like you're some skinny white kid who's never worked out. All these Hawaiians are like buff, ripped, and like, and then so." In my mind, I'm like, that's what I would have said. I would have been like, maybe later, bro, because I'm like, we're trying to train. I don't want to be dead weight. And then they invite him. They're like, yeah. Uh, they actually invite him, and they say like, bro, why don't you join us? And he's like, nah, nah, I'm just gonna be dead weight for you guys. And their response was, it's okay, you make us stronger. And I'm like, ah, that's so positive because it's true. Like through using him for more weight, they'll get stronger. And I'm like, dang, that's such a good way to think because immediately my mind was negative. Like, no, that would not be, or that would be a liability or whatever. But their mind
Yeah.
immediately went to, yeah, come make us stronger. Like you help us. And
Dang,
yeah,
that's a Samoan attitude.
exactly. And then he goes through that journey where he starts to get included and he's like he doesn't even want his phone by the end of the season. And so I finished season 1 and Valerie and I are watching season 2 with Aubrey Plaza, and the characters in season 2 are even more unbearable than season 1 in my opinion. They're all so fucked up and just narcissistic and doing dumb shit, but it's super entertaining, super well filmed, acted, written. I like it a lot.
Does it have 4 seasons or is it just two?
They just finished the third season, and I heard that it didn't
Mm.
end the way everyone wanted it to, and that's kind of disappointing. But I'm still excited to watch that one. Yeah,
Yeah. That show came out in like what, 2022, 2021?
yeah, a while ago. The first
Yeah.
season had like Sydney Sweeney and Jennifer Coolidge, Plop from The Office. I feel like that's disrespectful to only know him by that name, but that's really
Plop.
I forget his name. It's Plop from The Office. He was like new Jim.
The Asian guy?
No, no, no. There was a new Dwight and then a new Jim. How they look like younger versions of them, but They actually work there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The interns or whatever.
Yeah, the interns, and one of them starts dating
Yeah,
Aaron from the front desk.
yeah, 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 yeah,
He
yeah,
takes them
yeah.
from Andy. But anyways, that's what I've been
All right,
watching. Are you ready to get into the review, or you got some more
I'm
stuff you've
ready,
been?
bro.
Okay, so
Hold up,
why don't
hold
you
up.
give the people ah
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've been waiting for. There we go. Just acapella that shit.
tell the
Okay.
audience
So,
what is this movie about?
all right, guys. So today we are talking about The Greatest Showman, starring Hugh Jackman. And so, The Greatest Showman is a dazzling musical inspired by the life of P.T. Barnum, the visionary who rose from humble beginnings to create the world famous Barnum and Bailey Circus. Driven by ambition and a desire to provide a better life for his family, Barnum assembles a unique troupe of performers, outsiders, and misfits who become the heart of his revolutionary show. As the spectacle grows, Barnum struggles with fame, acceptance, and staying true to the people who believed in him from the beginning. Featuring show stopping musical numbers and themes of inclusivity, perseverance, and dreaming big, The Greatest Showman is a vibrant celebration of the imagination and the power of embracing one's individuality. So, this story follows a young Hugh Jackman, who in the movie, his name's Phineas or P.T. Barnum, and he's like a poor little boy, and they show him growing up and taking charge of a circus, and that circus grows to be world renowned. And yeah, that's the movie we are talking about today. So let me hit you with some box office numbers, bro, because this one surprised me. I didn't really know how big it kind of was when it came out. And so this movie took 7 years to make because, most musicals are like Broadway shows brought to music, right?
Yeah.
Like, uh, big example, The Wicked, right? One of the biggest Broadway musicals got brought to life. So movies or whatever, they're trying to make money, so they're only gonna pick big showstoppers to bring to, you know, theaters.
Hmm.
So this movie actually took 7 years to make, and it was Hugh Jackman trying to get studios to approve it. But no one wanted to gamble on an original musical. Like this musical wasn't a Broadway before. It wasn't anything. It was a
Oh, it
completely
didn't have that reputation for them to feel confident in it.
exactly because a movie like Hamilton, if that were to become like a movie, everyone would go crazy over it. Like because they
Yeah,
know it.
yeah, because I know about it, and I've never seen the play, never
Exactly.
like heard of. I've never heard any songs, but I've heard
I'm
it
like,
so much
where?
because it's so
How does
popular.
everyone know about Hamilton? Like, are you guys watching it at the theater or something? Like, I feel like
That's
everyone
what I'm
knows about
saying.
it. Um,
Is everyone going to New York,
that's
like
what
your
I'm. Yeah,
Broadway?
I
Like,
have
how is that
no idea.
possible?
I have no idea. So yeah, it took 7 years to make, which I don't know. You always hear about, like Ryan Reynolds taking years to create the Deadpool movie. So I can always
Yeah,
appreciate these artists who spend like so much time to put a film out. It's like makes me just appreciate it even more because they are like we were talking earlier, like the ones who
yeah,
really care about the art because maybe they really want to tell this story or give fans their fan service like with
yeah.
Deadpool.
They're willing to work for it.
Yeah, so 7 years to make, which is crazy, and so they had a budget of 84 million, and they
Oh, that's a lot
grossed
smaller than I thought it would be.
right 84 million. Like, yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. But it grossed 435 million dollars in theaters on its run. So literally five times
Nice.
its money. And the cool thing about this is when I was like doing some research is this movie came out the same week as Star Wars: The Last Jedi, I believe it was.
Oh,
So it
really?
it was competing with that movie in theaters, and it's still I think opening week it was like 40 million or 30 million, and then the next week it literally got more. So it went from 40 million to like 60 million the next weekend.
Oh, it did like there was no drop, there was an
Yeah,
increase.
it increased, and you always hear about drops. It usually drops from them, but this movie, the word of mouth was so big that it just continued to grow and grow and grow. It was in theaters all the way until May. Like from it came out in December and it stayed in theaters till May. Versus
Wow.
The Last Jedi, I think stopped showing in like February, March. So, you know, The Last Jedi is something that has a bunch of fans in it versus this movie that was a completely original thing. I thought that was pretty crazy to hear. Um,
Yeah. I
it,
actually heard that this movie, or I saw the reviews and they weren't like amazing, but I think the
yeah,
audience approval were like word of mouth and people with most audiences, not critics, like it really resonated.
yeah, because it did only get 56% on Tomatoes, which is
Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of that's kind of bad, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
not
like
certified fresh.
yeah, 5 out of 10 critics are saying they liked it.
And so this movie was directed by Michael Gracie. He directed Rocketman and
Oh,
or actually
really?
sorry, produced. Sorry.
Produced Rocket
He
Man.
he
Okay.
directed the 2024 movie Better Men. You know the one with that monkey?
Yeah, another
Uh,
kind of musical, I think.
is it a musical? I don't know what it is about,
I know they
but
do
I
songs.
okay, so yeah, it's he actually directed that movie. So that was pretty cool. And actually the all the songs uh on this musical were written by this duo called Pasek and Paul, and they're the same people who wrote all of the songs for La La Land. So it
Oh.
kind of shows. I haven't seen La La Land, but I know people talk like really good about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that
so
is a really good movie.
yeah, so this movie stars some big hitters, bro. It has Hugh Jackman, the goat, bro. It has Zac Efron, the musical goat, and then it has Zendaya, the goatest of goats, in my opinion. So it has people.
Really? You're a Zendaya fan?
Bro, I am the biggest Zendaya stan out there, bro. Bro, I was watching her back in the Disney days when she was doing her TV show Shake It Up. Then she moved over to
Oh,
Casey
an OG
Undercover.
fan.
Dude, it's such this is like my first experience of like seeing a celebrity like when I was young and they become like one of the mainstream
Uh-huh.
ones. It's like
Like how some people saw Leo and like go from What's Eating
true.
Gilbert Grape already to, all the way to like Django and
Yep, yep. Exactly like
yeah.
that. You're just like, yeah, that's my girl. Like you go, girl. So me and Caitlin, we're big stands of Zendaya. We love her in Euphoria. Obviously, she's
Midday.
in the. All right, I will not stand for this slander. I will end the episode right now, bro. Bro's trying to rage bait. Um,
Okay, bro. Actually, you know what, girl? Like, I was like, is that her? Because that is my woman. Like,
who?
I am. I'm a ride or die for her. Rebecca Ferguson, the girl who plays the singer. She's in the Dune movies. But I first saw her in the Mission Impossible movies, which I
Mm,
love, and I always thought she had such a like symmetrical, but also not very conventional like attractiveness because she
mm-hmm.
has these super sharp blue eyes. I think
Yeah,
she just has a very unique look. I've always
yeah.
loved
She
seeing
has like a
her. So
strong
I was like, is that
jawline.
my girl? Yeah,
That's my
exactly. So
girl.
every time I see her, I say that to Valerie. I'm like, bro, that's my woman
That's my
right there.
girl.
That's her.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Uh, so starting with the movie though, I kind of want to just ask what are some musicals that you've seen and kind of what made you like some musicals cuz I personally haven't seen too many musicals. I've only seen in recent times I've seen the Wicked movie and the Greatest Showman and High School Musical, right? So like my
Yeah.
musicals are very low. So I wanted to hear what are some of like the musicals you like and kind of what particularly you like about them.
So I could probably count the amount of musicals I've seen on one hand also.
Mhm.
My family grew up. Like there's some movies that my parents were always pushing on us that like not like against our will, but just like look, this is a very culturally significant musical. So they
Veggie Tales. Okay, sorry.
no,
Okay, sorry. Go
not
ahead.
all those are musicals, but the Jonah movie, the VeggieTale Jonah movie, solid musical.
Oh,
Don't talk mess on that one. But
oh my god, I didn't know they had an actual musical. Okay.
yeah, I mean there are a lot of their movies with songs, but
Uh,
anyways, those are kids movies, and like the number one that we knew was like the best is not or one of the best is Singing in the Rain. I have that one Steelbook 4K. I know the songs, uh, the amount of work and effort they put into making that musical is very well respected and highly regarded. So let me think. The ones I've seen are Sing in the Rain, Footloose, Grease. Is Footloose a musical? I guess it is. They're dancing. Grease, Tick Tick Boom, La La Land. I think that's about it. I haven't seen too many musicals either, and I'm counting this one is probably what the sixth or seventh one. Yeah, so very few. I know there's more famous ones out there that I haven't seen as well, like West Side Story, probably some other 80s or 70s musicals. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot. So I honestly going in, I was kind of anxious just because I'm like, am I gonna be able to tell if this is even good or bad? Like,
yeah.
do I have something to say when it comes to musicals? Because they're not for everyone, and there's such a wide variety of musicals. Like La La Land is vastly different than Grease or Singing in the Rain, and Singing in the Rain is way different than The Greatest Showman. You know, it's not like if you're seeing a musical, you're seeing one type because the type of music they're playing is also the tone of the film. So just because I've seen La La Land doesn't mean I was gonna like The Greatest Showman, or vice versa. Just because you like The Greatest Showman, I don't know if you would like Singing in the Rain because they're completely
Yeah.
different. But for this one, uh, my first impression was a great start. Like the way the movie started, I'm
Right.
like, I'm into this.
That intro, it was like,
Yeah.
and then and boom, and then it shows him just standing. Then it's like, oh, and credits, boom, and it's like, damn, they're starting off strong.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. And then when the kids started singing, I'm like, oh, you're just jumping right into it? Like,
Oh,
you're
just
just
going.
singing? You're just going for it? Okay. Go for it. Because as soon as he started singing, it didn't stop. Like, it started developing his character, his
The
relationship with his
story.
wife. I love the way they fleshed that out. And because then it made it feel like their marriage
Yes.
was so. You felt so connected to it because you saw them and
Mm-hmm.
what he had to do. He was writing her letters every day. You saw the work they put in. That felt like a true love story, and it really made me connect with him as a main character, and his journey.
A million dreams for the world
And
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
make.
make. What did you? So you were revisiting it. What was your impression at the beginning?
I was just like, I completely forgot everything. I like when the songs were playing, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. And
Uh
so it felt fresh to me. And I was like, yo, they're starting off with a bang.
huh.
And I started watching it with Kaylin, and then she was like, oh, I like this song. And it was like just that hard start, boom, boom. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then it fades to him just into his story. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, like that was pretty cool. And then yeah, like you said with the kids, and that's what I was gonna ask you because we've kind of touched on this a few times of like setting up a love story,
Uh huh.
and this was kind of love at first sight, but not really, but kind of,
Yeah.
where from the beginning the kids were kind of into each other, and then it grew up, and I was like, they did it in a way that kind of makes sense, like it wasn't too crazy, like, oh, I'm gonna run back. It was just like, the kid was poor. He had to do what he could to survive and still text his girl and
Texas girl.
all and then like, his dad dies, and that was really sad. Like when his dad died, I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, I didn't know. Like everything felt new, like a first time watch basically.
Yeah.
So I was hyped to get into it because there were some songs that would come up that I was like ready to hear because I remember the scene a bit. Um, so yeah, just get into that, bro. In my opinion, bro,
Yeah.
every song is a banger. There is no song that is not a banger, bro. Every song is catchy. It's so satisfying to hear, especially in the story, because I guess this is like a nah duh moment for me with musicals, but it's like okay when they're singing, they're singing about what's going on, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like a nod dumb moment. But for me, I was like, oh, I really like that. Like they're singing, but it kind of has to do with what they're going through, and so I I really like some of the songs that were happening, like um, obviously that girl, what's her name, Jenny, the opera singer.
Hmm.
It's like right in that perfect part of when Phineas's character is kind of going through things when he's trying to get more and more. He's trying to get bigger and bigger, and her song is literally singing "Never be enough," and I was like, oh yes, like it will never be enough for that
Yeah.
guy, and like he's throwing everything away and all this stuff, and then like even Zac Efron's character in that moment, like you see him holding hands with Zendaya, and then it's like he
And
wants
then he
that, but he's like
breaks it away when those
yeah,
snobs look at
because
him.
yeah, like that song for me, I was like, oh, I didn't even think I liked that song, but when they played that song,
It's
it
very
was so
powerful.
perfect. And then probably my favorite song of the whole one was the one with Zach and Zendaya. How can we rewrite the stars
Oh
when we
yeah.
made like that was such. I feel like the choreograph choreo
Choreography.
choreography and all the musical scenes was so crazy. So, did you not think the songs were catchy, or were you kind of like, it's a song?
So I agree and disagree
Oh,
because, well,
really?
I guess there's not disagreeing because you're not right or wrong. There's nothing to disagree about. But it's just for me, I thought all the songs were great
Yeah.
and they were very powerful and emotional. And even though I do feel, like sometimes you feel slightly uncomfortable when they're singing like very emotional, like when Jenny's looking right at you in the camera and she's like sometimes I feel uncomfortable looking at someone like just go all out like that and I'm just looking at them for a little too long. But
Okay.
uh those I thought all those songs were very powerful and emotional, even though like maybe in that moment I do feel uncomfortable for some reason. But I just don't think they were able to, any of the songs were able to cross that point where I would add it, because that's kind of like my where I would save it in my Apple Music, where because I know in some songs in like La La Land and other musicals, I think they were so good that I wanted to listen to them outside of the movie, but I don't think any of the songs were able to reach that peak. Like they were so close, like they were very good, but it just couldn't get over that hump to where I wanted to listen to them outside of the movie. Not to say that they weren't good.
No, I respect that because I'm not adding none of these songs to my playlist, but I
Like you're not gonna
I
listen to it
I'm
on your
not
way to
gonna lie.
work.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was listening to them right after the movie though. Like I played them in my car. I
Really?
was I was just like, oh, these songs do
Oh, see,
slap
that
though.
counts. Like I liked it, but I'm like I just don't want to put it on in my car ride. There's some other
Oh,
songs I'd
okay,
rather
okay.
I'd rather
Yeah,
listen to.
they were stuck in my head too. Like I was singing, "This is the greatest show." Like the next day, like for like all day, and I was like, okay, these songs are stuck in my head. But every song that came on, I was just like, I really like the songs, the dances, how it's like it
Yeah,
kind of progresses the story a little bit. Like it kind of, they're on one situation, then they sing the song, and then maybe it progresses them. I was like, okay, like maybe that's again a nod duh moment. That's what musicals do. But for me, with not too much musical experience, I was just like, I like that. That's satisfying to see that
yeah,
the song's not like in its own world really like a character singing it, but it has nothing to do with the plot, like it kind of goes hand
yeah,
in hand.
yeah. This movie, I just thought, like how can you really say anything bad about a movie where it's such a positive message and it's done in
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
powerful way, even though because there are some things I could talk about, and if you want to know, I'll tell you. But where I'm like, I feel like this maybe stopped me from connecting as much as I wanted to. But I just, I love movies like this where they set out to just do something like make extremely positive message where it just talks about life and it's about how like, hey, let's all get along. Like you can't hate on movies like that. That's kind of like the plot of Lilo and Stitch or I guess Shawshank Redemption. Like some people start off not getting along, and then it makes a powerful message on how some of us are more similar than we think, and being different can be a good thing. You just can't hate on a movie that sets out to do that.
And I really liked. I feel like the message for me that resonated the most was more with
Uh-huh.
Hugh Jackman's character, which was like, you know,
Just too
everyone who
much success. You're like, oh yeah, I just relate,
I'm
bro.
struggling
All
for
that
so much
success,
success. It's getting in my head. My
hard to
podcast.
handle.
My podcast is so big. No, but like the story and this is kind of gets back to like people who kind of have nothing think they need to have everything, and
Yeah.
until you
Uh-huh.
really have it, you won't
I need some
understand.
billionaires to watch this, bro. They need to go through their character arcs.
Yeah, because you'll see someone in a Lambo, you're like, "Ah, I want the Lambo," but then when you get in a Lambo, you're still sad or you're still all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that
Yeah.
speaks crazy like volume, because you really wouldn't understand it. Like it's easy to say it won't make you happy, right? But because you don't have it, you're like, well, maybe it will. Like maybe I'm different. Like maybe I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And it really shows his character. Literally dirt poor, living on the streets to, top of the top artist. And
Super
it's like
rich.
he sees how that destroys the things that he wanted from when he was a kid, like with his wife and traveling and wanting more and spending more money on this. And like it's such a true message, because you see people who do get to the top, and they throw away everyone who kind of was rising up with them, just like Hugh Jackman, like didn't want to let his circus members, or as he calls them, the freaks, into that high society bar or whatever. When they're trying to just get some drinks, he's like, no, get out, get out. Like, that scene was like, wow, dude,
Yeah.
you're doing them dirty. Like, are you serious right now? Like, I was kind of mad. I was like, bro, like, this fame's getting to
Yeah.
your head, and it literally just all goes downhill from there. And then again, he
That's the
realizes, like,
same reaction I had. I looked to Valerie and I literally said, why does he have to go through this arc? Like, I'm not really rooting for him right now. I'm not like,
oh my
no,
god,
I'm just like, bro, really? Like,
yeah,
how do you not see that you started off with a clear motivation of let's include all these people together, and then you're like, nah, fuck y'all. Like, I'm just like, bro, come on, you didn't have any reason. You grew up poor, like,
I
it's
know.
hard. That's one of the reasons I think kept me from connecting, because I think I wanted to feel more devastated in that moment. Like I felt like I should have felt that, but I honestly felt more upset at him,
Yeah,
more disappointed, and I didn't really want to see him become better because I thought he shouldn't have gone there in the first place. I didn't think his reason for losing himself was good enough, I guess.
really, like, but he got to like the top. He got all this money, all this fame. That he's like, well, I don't need all these other people because they're not famous, and that fame does get to you. Like, think of like someone like Leonardo or whatever, top of the top. He's like, yeah, just because you maybe went to some film schools with someone who didn't make it, he's probably not gonna be like, well, I'm still gonna hang out with you because we started at the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
but still was devastating to be like, bro, why? Like that sucks. Like I
It
felt,
was, but I I felt as if it made him a little unlikable, which I
yeah,
didn't like because I liked him so much, and
yeah,
if I felt as if they flipped it on me, and I just wasn't into it. Like I wasn't ready to see him become a good character. I was more upset that we were going down this road because I already liked him, and then you made me not like him. Then I wasn't excited to see him become a better person. Like if you're watching Naruto and you see Sasuke, you know he's
yeah.
doing fucked up stuff, but you're excited for him to one day reconnect with Naruto. And I didn't feel uh, that eagerness to see him become a better person because I just felt like I disliked him at that point to where I didn't I wasn't rooting for him as I would another character. It didn't
Yeah.
ruin it for me, but that was my feelings. I wasn't necessarily rooting for him, especially once he was cheating. I'm just like, bro, like, what do you expect?
Whoa.
Like,
He
you
was
walked into
not
that one.
cheating. He was
Did you
not
see the way he was
cheating.
looking at her when she was singing? He was literally nutting on the
He,
side
oh,
in the
oh my god.
backstage. Just, oh
He
my
was in
God, those
awe,
notes.
bro. He was
Oh
in
my God, those
awe.
notes. Bro, he
And
never even looked at his own wife like that. Like, come on. You got
bro
to
was a
pull
poor
yourself together.
bro was a brokey his whole life. He's never heard someone
He,
sing, bro.
he never heard a good voice before. Like, come on. Like, I just
Okay,
wasn't, I
he
was
was
just,
not cheating. Then
come
that
on, bro.
and that's what.
He
So
was
when I
emotionally
first
cheating. What were
no,
they doing in their? She was in her bathrobes. They were just hanging out together in the living room, getting real close, toasting champagne. That's
bro.
inappropriate.
Okay,
Inappropriate.
that maybe I'll get by that because when I first watched it and I was revisiting, I was like, yeah, he does cheat. Like that, I remember that, and I was like, why did you cheat on your
Yeah.
wife? Like, but when I was rewatching, I was like, well, he kind of didn't cheat. Like he was trying to use this girl as her act, and you know,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
that
He didn't
once.
actually cheat, but he was on the cliff. He walked up to that cliff where he put himself in a position, you know,
You
to
think
get
so?
that close. Because she would have never kissed him if she wasn't getting these flirty vibes back from him. I think he reciprocated those vibes, which is inappropriate. So that's why she was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to kiss you. Like, I have these feelings that you've kind of fanned the flames for. Like, he kind of fanned the flames for that to
Okay.
happen. So it's not, he did not cheat because he did not kiss her and he backed out. But I do
Yeah.
think he played a part, you know, in what led up to that kiss.
I don't know why I saw it differently. I saw it more of like, okay, this guy trying to make more money. He's gonna bring a big act. He brings a big act,
Yeah.
and then he makes this girl money, which I guess she doesn't use it anyways. But you know, he's making her
Uh
rich, and she's like, "Oh, you're this successful guy. Like, I want to be with this successful guy." And she tries making a move, and he's like, "No, dude. Like, I gotta go." And then and then she gets all booty hurt. She's like, "Ugh, "You don't want to kiss me? Like, I'm Jenny." And
huh.
like and he's like, No, like I gotta go." And then she says like something like, "Am I just another act? Like, were you just using me?" And he's like, I mean, I don't, maybe." And then, and then she's booty hurt, and then she sabotages him and kisses him on stage, because she knows all the pictures and is gonna get press and everything. And I'm like, what a bitch, bro! Like, he has a family, and he literally said no, and because he said no, you're getting booty hurt. I'm like,
That's the
you're in the
thing, though.
wrong.
I feel like him saying no at the very peak of leading her on, you know, because you have to admit he is flirting a little bit. The way he's toasting each other, absolutely praising. He's like he's gawking at her like all the time.
Gawking.
And then at the very end, when she's like, "Okay, are we gonna do this?" and then he backs out. You are like, what she did was wrong, but he led her to do that. Like, you can't provoke a crazy, like, she's not exactly insane, but you can't provoke someone and then be surprised when they react to your you poking the bear, you know? Like, if he's poking at the situation, he can't be surprised if she reacts, you know? Not that her reaction is appropriate or justified, but sometimes you gotta uh, uh, admit when you play a part, or take some responsibility for your own actions. And he was, giving her these lovey-dovey eyes and flirting a little bit. He definitely played a part. Did you know that this was a true story, bro?
I was gonna talk to you about that, bro. And
I googled it. I googled it after. I had to know.
I
I couldn't wait for
actually
your facts.
I have some facts, bro.
Go
So
ahead. Go.
So when I was doing research and I was trying to find out, because there's mixed feelings about this movie. Like half of the people like it, half of the people hate it. So I was listening to like a review where this person was dogging on the movie, like
You wanted to
every
hear the other
minute,
side.
the gripes, and I was like, your gripes are so stupid. And some of the gripes they were having were like, okay, and I could kind of get behind this one a little bit. P.T. Barnum was an actual person. He actually had a circus or whatever. But
Yeah.
in real life, he was like a bad guy. Like he
Like actually just making money off of these
he had like
off of
this
these people.
African American woman who was like 90 or 80, and he
Uh-huh.
put her in his circus claiming she was 120 years old and that she was the caregiver of George Washington's children or something like that.
Wow.
I know. So she would just
So
sit.
he actually was a con man. See, the
He
movie
was,
tried to portray him like, no, this guy's genuinely good, but in real life, this guy was a con man.
but I mean, they kind of portrayed it in the movie. He was a con man, like Dog Man is just a hairy guy, or like the tall Irish
Yeah.
guy. He wasn't even Irish, or like, they kind of tried to do that, and even um the critic, which I was like, this would be Anthony if he was in the movie, bro. He'd be this critic who
Oh,
who
you thought that would be me?
yeah, bro. I was like, you would be this critic who would hate just to hate, and then behind the
Now that you
scenes,
say that, I was on his side. That is
oh my
not
god,
art.
dude,
He is
I
that is
know.
an
I
exploitation.
See, no, see, exactly. This is why I knew it would be you because you would be like, "Oh, this isn't true art, true film." But then at the end of the movie, tell me why that critic's like when he's not writing on paper but talking face to face, he's like, "Nah, I really liked your shows. It made people happy." Like, bro, like why didn't you write that the whole time? Like Hugh Jackman's like, "I wish you would have written that." And I was like, "That's so
Yeah.
Anthony," because he'll be like, "I gotta be technical with my review and how I say it." But I did enjoy it. But I'm not gonna say that I enjoyed it because on the
I know.
technical and art
I
side,
always
on
admit
the
if I enjoy it. No,
on,
no, 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 no. I admit
bro.
it. Like this movie was
So
garbage,
admit
but
that
I
you
liked
loved the
it.
Mario movie.
No, I did not like that one. No.
No, see
Okay, but
exactly.
speaking of that, bro, I actually got a little. I guess if you want to hear me speak like that guy, I got
Oh my
a little
goodness.
gripe with the movie.
Oh, you got gripes. Okay.
This is my one gripe. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I'm like, what did I not like about this movie? And I'm like, you know
Okay.
what? This kind of doesn't make sense. The story of the
What?
movie, right, is
Uh huh.
showing how this guy thought it was all about himself and he got extremely selfish and he made the circus about him and then about his success and he pushed all the friends he made along the way to the side, right?
Yeah.
While at the same time, the movie makes it all about him, the main character, and pushes all the characters that they're trying to say are special to the side the whole time. Like, can you tell me the name of the dog guy
No.
or the little guy or the bearded lady? I'm like, how are you going to claim that these people are special and that this guy really is the most important one and then act like what he's doing is wrong because he's making it all about himself while at the same time your movie is all about him and you push all his friends to the side and you don't really give them much screen time other than being like a prop for look how special he is because he's nice to these people in the beginning. You kind of
So
use them as props in your movie while you try to make the movie about using them as props. I'm like, it's kind of
yeah.
contradicts itself.
So like you're saying that they maybe should have developed these side characters way more.
I think they could have maybe done something, yeah, to develop them a little bit
Really?
more or have their story shine because I felt like they
What?
were just used as props. Like, oh, this lady is a bearded lady and this guy's amazing because he treats her like because everyone else laughs at her, but he treats her right. But that's all. I feel like they're used to bring up the main character more than they are to show that they are just important. Uh, or uh, just as equal as him, you know. But I feel like they're more used to just bring up the main character.
See, like I didn't care about none of the side characters. I wasn't like, oh, I need to know more or whatever. I feel like it was supposed to be about one guy, how he rises and falls with success. I thought that was kind of the theme. So I was like okay with it being more about him because, everyone else just had like little subplots. Like even Zendaya's character with Zac Efron, they had subplots. The um who I mean, I feel like there's that's probably the only other subplot I can think of. That one, and then kind of the freaks or whatever, they're feeling neglected, like kind of feeling how they used to feel before they started the carnival, back again to being neglected, and it's like this weird dynamic. But I don't know if I wanted to see the bearded lady like go out for a haircut or a drink or something by herself. Like I don't know if that would have I would have been like, yes, I needed to see that. But I get what you're saying. Like they just used them like kind of how they were using them in the actual movie. They weren't actual characters
Yeah.
per se.
That played into the part of me starting to not like him because if you make your movie all about him and how he's amazing, incredible, why? And then he gets everything, you give him everything, and then he fumbles it. I'm just thinking, why should I root for you? Like you went from like all these people did everything for you, and then really the only consequences you have is like your place kind of burning down. But then everyone just forgives you in the end because they're
Yeah.
better than you. Like at the end of the day, everyone around you are better people because they forgave you. Like
Yeah.
off the bat, I'm like, I don't. You're not a very likable main character towards the end, in my opinion. In the beginning, I was rooting for him. I loved his backstory. I thought he was like such a compelling
Yeah.
character. But then at the end, I was like, yeah, let's go back to these other people because they're great. They
They're
forgave you,
better.
and they're on the margins of society. They don't have to forgive people. They have every right to feel more sour towards people's actions, but they, at the end of the day, they're the most compassionate. Like that's compelling. But the movie's all about this guy who kind of fumbles everything and started off
But
really
he
well. And
realized that he fumbled and redeemed himself. Is that not kind of
what did he
like
do
a
exactly to redeem himself?
so he lost everything and then he went to the bar and he told the people, "I'm done. I'm gone. I lost everything."
I
And
see.
they gave him hope to be like, "No, bro, keep pushing. You've been pushing this whole time. Keep it pushing." He's like, "You know what? You're right." And then they sing that song. He goes back, gets his wife, starts the circus back up.
I don't think I don't think he did or felt enough consequences because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you're sad now. We'll give you all the money back because I invested it. Zac Efron's character invested it, and let's just do it again because you feel sad and you're in a bar crying. That's enough. I thought like, bro, come on.
Okay,
It
yeah.
just didn't feel like enough consequences, I guess, because
Bro, what consequence? He burned his thing, lost his wife, lost his show, lost his Jenny main
but he just
singer.
had to say sorry. That's really it. He's just like, I'm really sorry.
What more would you want him to do? Beg on his knees? Like, sorry, sometimes is enough, bro.
I feel
You
like
ever?
most of the time, in most mediums, whenever uh, characters get redeemed, they have to choose the redemption and know it'll negatively affect them. Because with him, I felt like him choosing his redemption gives them everything back, so it doesn't feel genuine. But I felt like most of the time in movies that I really feel like the character earned their forgiveness is when they do the right thing, knowing it'll negatively affect them. Because then it's like there's no way you know that they're not doing it for their own benefit because the very act itself does not benefit them. And I know there's some examples I can give where like a character kind of either sacrifices themselves, they start off bad and they turn good. Like Zuko, I guess. Like him realizing what he did and going to Team Avatar, he loses everything. He gives up his prince. Like him choosing the good side causes him to lose everything he loved, his girl, his country. He was the prince, his father, his like everything. He's now exiled, and so you feel like it's genuine because he doesn't benefit from it. So the only reason he's doing it is because he truly believes that it's the right thing. And I guess I didn't feel like the main character lost enough through his redemption for it to feel like he earned their forgiveness. But as long as that explanation is, that wasn't something where when it happened, I was like, that's bullshit. He didn't earn it. Like I enjoyed the story. I genuinely liked where it went. I still enjoyed myself. It didn't keep me from enjoying it. This was more like an afterthought. Like, That wasn't. I like in terms of how much I connected to that character arc. Like I said with Zuko, I connected 10 out of 10 with him because of that gripe. I may maybe connected on a 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like it's not to say that it's not there at all, but it was less than I think what it could have been.
Yeah, because it was kind of like I lost everything, and then everyone's like, no, we got you, even though you didn't have us. And then they lift him up,
Yeah.
which I guess, but I was just like, man, those people are real. They hold it down. But I,
Yeah, in that way it's very powerful because it shows how like you know you wouldn't gain anything by trying to kick him while he's down. It's
yeah.
more it shows a good side of humanity to forgive someone even though they've treated you bad. Like that is also a positive message, but in terms of a redemption arc, it's not as powerful in my opinion.
Okay, so I think we're ready to get into the review portion, and I was actually having trouble coming up with a metric for this one.
Really,
Um, how how many?
bearded ladies.
Ooh. All right. How many bearded ladies, 1 out of 10, will you send to go see The Greatest Showman?
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That's solid.
With the slide comment with the side comment of I really enjoyed it. Didn't think it was a perfect movie, but it was still a good watch on a Saturday night.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I think my rating's gonna be
How many
controversial.
bearded ladies?
How
Really?
many bearded ladies out of 10?
Your second 10 out of 10? Really, bro?
Um, from 1 to 10, the amount of bearded ladies that I would have to send to forcefully go watch The Greatest Showman would have to be 10 out of 10 bearded ladies. And I texted you,
You're
I
kidding.
texted you my one word musical because, bro, when I think of musicals, I don't know why, this just makes sense that this is what a musical should be. And I'm basing that off. I just went to go watch Wicked, and that musical felt so whack to me. The story felt whack. The songs also felt kind of whack. And I was like, this doesn't even feel like a really good musical about making music. Like it feels like it's trying to do too many different things. Versus this one is like, all right, there's a straight story, and we're gonna throw some banger songs, and for me, all the songs are bangers. The story, I think, progresses perfect. It's someone from the bottom rising to the top, losing it all, and realizing he doesn't need to be at the top to be quote unquote successful, which to me, powerful message that anyone could take away from. Like, you don't need the raise every time, the bigger car, the bigger house, the fancier watch every time to be happier. And I feel like some people get
Yeah.
caught up in that race of trying to make more, trying to make more, trying to get bigger, and they don't realize like what they have around them is sometimes just as enough. Like, yeah, you need money to survive, like that's a given, but you don't need to be making millions or thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be happy. When if you have, your loving
Yeah.
family around you, your loving friends, something you're passionate about, like I feel like that's enough, and that spoke to me loud and clear. Um, Again, all the songs slap. I feel like the cinematography was slapping as well, like with all the choreographies and all that. And I really liked it. And this is a movie I would, if someone asked me for a musical recommendation, obviously I don't have many, but this would be obviously one that I would recommend. And even if someone wanted to watch a good movie, I feel like I would just recommend it because they'd like the songs. The story would be, something they can kind of follow, and I just really liked it. And it was a nice revisit. I totally forgot it. So when I was rewatching it, I was like, man, I really like this movie. And I completely forgot about it. Haven't seen it since it came out in theaters in, I think, 2017. So it's been about 7 years since I've seen this movie. So I was surprised. I just had a good time watching it. And so I feel like this is a musical that I like. And maybe because I haven't seen too many musicals, that's why I'm like, this is the musical of musicals. But it's just like, to me, it's a good musical. So, long story,
Nice.
long explanation for my 10 out of 10, but that's how many bearded ladies I'm giving it.
That's actually crazy that you would give this movie a 10
This
out of 10. But
dude.
anyways,
Yeah.
do you want to hear? I was thinking for the next
All
movie that we're
right.
gonna watch. I've been taking it easy on you, bro. I've been
Easy.
pampering you.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been taking it so easy on you. Just I need to. I'm gonna reach back. Okay, no more modern
damn.
films. I'm showing you a
It's
1960s film.
1960. Is it black and white?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
my goodness. What is it?
I've been taking it way too easy on you, bro. We gotta switch it up.
Okay.
Let's do. Have you ever seen the movie A Raisin in the Sun?
I have not seen that movie.
So this was one of the movies where, literally, my dad put it on, right? Because he saw it. Do you remember the Criterion Channel, the streaming service I was telling you about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they have a streaming service, and he was looking through it, and he's like, "Oh, a Raisin in the Sun," and I was not in the mood to watch a fucking black and white movie from the '60s, and he just put it
Yeah.
on. I'm kind of on my phone, and I hear what they're saying. I start listening to the conversation, and then I start hearing where the conversation is going, and then next thing I know, 20 minutes has passed by, and I've been paying attention to what's happening. I'm like, why is this so interesting? It's not, there's not even any music. It's black and white, two people talking in a room, but why am I so interested in their conversation and like what's happening? And why is it so relatable even though it's so old? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I got from this movie called A Raisin in the Sun. It's such a good comment on just life in general and different people's dreams and what they want to do, and I think it's very timeless in the sense that anybody can relate to their struggles and everything like that. So that's the next movie for episode 17, A Raisin in the Sun. I think 1961. There's multiple. Diddy actually made a movie. He
Ah,
did the
Diddy.
remake, bro. I swear they did a remake in the 2000s with Diddy, and it looks so bad.
What?
Yeah, we're not
Oh my
watching that one.
goodness.
The one you're watching is starring Sidney Poitier, right? And he was the first ever black man to win an Oscar. Not for this
Oh,
film,
okay.
not for this film,
Oh.
but this is a legendary actor, first ever black man to win an Oscar for his movie. I think Lilies of the Fields. I think that's what it's called. But this guy brings it. This is an Oscar-worthy role of his, and yeah, I'd love to see your reaction to his acting.
All right. I guess we got a movie to watch this week. Raisin in the
The
Sun.
Sun. Yep. All right.
Nice. Well, shout out everybody who's made it to this far. Make sure to like our most recent Instagram post and comment what was your favorite song from The Greatest Showman to be shouted out in next week's episode. So, shout out everybody. We'll catch you guys in next week's episode. And until then, peace.
Peace.